Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Kusog7ande, the Bad Video Game Tournament. Again, thank you, everybody who has helped by subscribing and by sending in tips. It's because of you that I am able to keep this going for the 7th tournament and offer prizes. We give out over $2,000 worth of prizes, as well as we have movies. We give $500 to the person who wins the tournament, $250 to second place. It is all extremely helpful, and this is also how I eat food. So honestly, all of the help that you give is greatly appreciated. With that said, let me go ahead. I've got a couple things that I need to tweak real quick before I jump into the reveal. I do want y'all to know that we have more matches tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, that'll be fun. That's going to be fantastic. I'm very confused right now, though. Like, what the crap? That's not, like, where are my graphics? Why are they all in stupid places? Oh my gosh. Okay. Note to self, let's get arranged before tomorrow so that I'm not, like, jumping around in front of people, just being kind of goofy and not, like, figuring out how to do anything. Come on, which one is this? That's 2-player layout. Okay, this is Kusog7, not Kusog6. Where's my layout? What happened to my layout? Because that says Kusog6. This says Kusog6. This says Kusog7. Even though it's titled whatever, I got it. Everybody, we're good. I have saved the planet, okay? So let's go ahead. Crappy, please take us on over to the game reveal, Eurovision, specifically games that are brought out of Europe, created in our favorite continent. Honestly, I love European games as much as I joke about them. They have a distinct flavor that you can't really get in Japan or the US. So let's go ahead and find out what game we have. The Digimon are after you! Well, everybody, this was not voted upon. This is somebody who signed up and really wanted to give a game out. So please welcome on in our GM for our first Eurovision match. Oh, Tristan, come bring us some horror. Hello there.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, Tristan, how are you doing today?
I'm very excited. I've been waiting for the Eurojank round for a while.
Yeah, you never know when I'm gonna suddenly feel like we're just gonna have European games, but this is the tournament where, heck, round 2 in the winner's bracket means that we get a decent number specifically about European games. And honestly, I have to say, you chose something a little strong today.
Yeah, and people might accuse me of pulling out something a little nasty because it's April Fool's Day, but I've been waiting to hand this out for 2 years.
Are you serious? For 2 years?
2 years ago, I went into the GM chat and I said, someone help me find a way to make this a fair race. And we worked on it for a while and we couldn't do it. But since we moved back to BizHawk this year, I was able to find a way to do it.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yes.
Yay, BizHawk, we have a fair way to do this. I'm a little bit scared, though. I actually tested this for you a little bit to make sure that one of the races felt, okay. And I beat it first try, so honestly, I feel like I am the best at this game. What do we have?
We have a PAL region Super Nintendo game from a British developer called Elite Systems.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a little Super FX racing game by the name of Dirt Racer.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna race in the dirt. Look at those big tires. I like them.
Yeah, so the thing about this, the proper gameplay mode where you proceed from track to track linearly and we would be able to properly score and everything, gives you tracks in a random order.
Yeah, okay, so sort of little too Yolanda for us today. Although I think Yolanda is also a British video game, or a European video game. Not 100% sure, but I'm about like 98% sure. But yeah, this is no Yolanda. This is straight up Dirt Racer. Maybe it's better than it's
This is absolutely
no
Dirt
Yolanda.
Racer. So what we're gonna do, I have prepared 15 save states for our racers that are at the practice menu for each track, and usually to get to the later tracks you have to provide a password. And I'm thinking, I don't want to make them type in a password every single time they change tracks. That's not fair. I'm just gonna bury them in save states.
That's not fair. Let's just make them suffer in other ways. Perfect.
Well, I didn't want a large chunk of the race coming down to how fast can you type in passwords. That wouldn't be fun for anybody.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer it to be a fair and well-balanced game. It's really nice that you were able to go and get all of the states put together. Not only that, but that like neither player has played this. But then again, I hadn't even heard of this game until you suggested that I give one of the stages a shot. So I did.
Yeah, I learned about this. I follow a streamer who's trying to play every Super Nintendo game, a guy by the name of Peebs, who was in the first Kusog7ande, if I recall correctly. And he played this, and it was a fairly popular opinion that this may be one of the worst games on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Let's see. I imagine, like, honestly, I'd say that this was pretty ambitious for the Super Nintendo. Like, it's not good. But they actually put a decent amount of work into it, and I'd say that, like, as a prototype, this is very fascinating. But no, this is not a good game.
It's not. Actually, while you're setting up, I can go over some of the reviews this game got,
yeah,
score-wise.
I'm just waiting
There's
for
this
the players.
neat little table on the Wikipedia article for it that lays out the review scores this game got. And I'm just going to run down here and read off these scores. We have a 95% from Super Gamer, which is what they advertise like on the box, right? And an 80% from Consoles Plus. And that's a little weird. And then you get Games Master gave it 21%, Mega Fun gave it 15%, Video Games in Germany gave it 20%, and Playtime gave it 15%. And my working theory here is that the high reviews are for its graphical fidelity, because graphically it is impressive. Everything else is butt.
Honestly, like, yeah, making a 3D world for the Super Nintendo, honestly, it's very impressive. It's, but then again, they also did that for Game Boy. Then again, they also did it for Atari.
Ooh, you are using the Last Race's player icons.
Oh my gosh, I always forget. Let me fix that. I have to forget at least one thing each day, okay?
It's fine. We're, the racers are still hopping up and getting drinks and everything anyway.
Yeah, do I even have their icons, though? I'm not sure if they sent them to me. Let me go find out. Okay, I messaged them, keeping them the same. Let me go ahead and track down their Twitch icons then.
So the way this is gonna work, while you're playing with graphics,
yeah.
like I said, the racers have 15 save states, one for each track. They're in a linear order. There are 3 cups. There's the England Cup, the Australia Cup, and the Alaska Cup, and they all consist of 5 tracks each. And we're just gonna go through linearly. We're gonna do the first 3 tracks are normal races, and then what they call a stunt track, and then what they call a puzzle track, and then we do the same thing for the next cup and the third cup. Each race is a 1v1 race, and if the racer wins, they can go to the next track. If they lose, they have to do that track again. And whoever gets the most tracks knocked out wins. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I fixed it, everybody. Look, everything's correct and not wrong at all. ever. It's never wrong. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to be doing the countdown for the players. What would be good emotes for chat to spam?
Race cars, trucks, dirt, tires.
Yeah. Fast
Emoji
things.
smiley faces, like the standard emoji smiley faces, and you will see why in a moment.
Yeah, and I will start our timer as soon as I see movement. So get ready to spam, please. Are they allowed to change the vehicles, by the way?
They can change not only their own vehicle, but the opponent's vehicle. I let them have that power.
Yeah. Here we go.
So here we go indeed. Let me explain the controls a little bit as we watch people kind of struggle to drive a little bit. There are 2 gas buttons and 3 brake buttons and 4 turn buttons.
Ooh. I don't like that.
Since
Why
we
do you need those?
predate analog controls, there is a normal gas button and a half gas button, and then there's a normal brake, a half brake, and a hand brake, and then there's normal turn and hard turn. And we have a spin out, and someone has chosen to reload already.
Yeah. So looking at the top, you've got 1:2. What does that mean?
That is the lap number and the checkpoint number that you are heading to. Also, directly above that, you have whether you are winning or losing as an indicator, the smiley face.
Oh.
If the smiley face is smiling, you're winning. If it's frowning, you're losing. And if it's pogging, you're tied.
Gotcha. I actually, during my time testing, I didn't figure it out because I beat the one that you gave to me, like, first try. I think the computer got stuck somewhere, actually.
It's entirely possible. So one of the things that our racers may need to figure out if they can't just click with winning races properly, the AI in this rubber bands a lot. And if the AI gets a significant distance ahead of you, it will just crash and sit there until you catch up. And even with this, the game is still butt because it's almost impossible to keep your car on the track.
Yeah, the stage that I went, I actually, I didn't use the brake a lot, but I definitely was not always accelerating. Considering I didn't have the instructions that you gave to the player, so I wasn't sure what the acceleration buttons were by the time I finished the race.
Yeah.
So B, your standard bottom button on the SNES controller, that is your accelerate. Y, which is the button above and to the left of B, that is half accelerate. I don't know if you get any benefit from pushing both of them, but I would sometimes push both of them because I thought maybe that'll make me go faster. But
that sticks your foot through the floorboard. No, I don't think it helps you at all, no.
But yeah, the brakes that you have, X is brake, A is handbrake, and then if you push down on the D-pad, that's half brake.
Yes.
That's a nightmare. I dislike that. Also, left and right on the D-pad will help you turn left and right. L and R also are turn left and right, although they may be faster turns.
Yeah, they're a hard turn, so you can kind of see the wheel down there. One of the things that is kind of hard to see when watching this game, but is painfully apparent when you're playing it, turning doesn't turn the vehicle, really. What it does is your vehicle will always orient to kind of move toward the camera, really. Not even really the camera. There's an invisible vector indicating which way you want to be going. You turn that invisible vector, and then your car begins to gravitate in that direction. And it's not good.
I suppose, like, I didn't feel like it was too bad personally. Hopscotch, by the way, appears to be on the second stage, So
Yeah.
that is a very clear lead by Hopscotch. Kuchiri opting to reset on occasion, which I sort of understand, but this looks like the second stage as well. Maybe not. I don't know.
So I'm mainly going to be going by when they finish a race, it tells you what race they just finished and if the racer won or lost. And quite frankly, your view distance is so bad, it's hard for me to tell at a glance what race the racer is on. They're still on race 1.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I'm mainly going by both the results screen and the startup screen because I made every save state start them somewhere where it tells what track they're on. Because I'm an idiot, and that's the only way I could keep track of where everyone is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you put in the instructions. You hold select to go into reverse. What is wrong with you? I know you didn't
so
make the
holding
game,
select
but,
puts
oh my
you.
gosh.
You will be in reverse anytime you're holding select, so to back up, if you get stuck somewhere, you have to hold select and gas, and then somehow hit the D-pad to turn, if you need to turn.
See, I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
Yeah.
Another thing, Kuchiri has largely gravitated toward the sports car, like the rally car, and Hopscotch has moved to the monster truck. And this is one of the things where they need to experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Hopscotch seems to be doing fine so far, but there are 3 vehicles. The truck is the slowest but most stable vehicle as far as not spinning out and whatnot. And to be perfectly honest, the monster truck moves plenty fast enough to win races if you drive well. I think picking any other vehicle is asking for trouble. But
I think I
the
agree
others
with
are...
you. Like, really, you don't have to get a world record in order to beat the computer. Just beat the computer, you know?
Pretty much.
One thing that Kuchiri is doing a lot that normally I think is a fine idea is reloading the state. Honestly, play through the whole race once or twice to see what happens, because if the computer gets very ahead of you, it ends up getting stuck.
Yes. You will eventually drive up and the computer will just be sitting like parked against a tree or something and you'll just drive by them.
Yeah, see, this is the type of rubber banding I actually support in old video games. The rubber banding that specifically helps you and not the computer.
Yes, the game markets itself as having an intelligent system to adjust difficulty as you play. And really what they mean is if the computer's gonna smoke you, it crashes, and that's it. There's nothing intelligent here about it. We do see Kuchiri exploding fairly often, and the way... I feel like they put exploding in as an anti-softlock mechanic if you manage to do like the Austin Powers thing, where Austin Powers got his little golf cart stuck in a narrow hallway.
Yeah.
Or that's Spaceballs, isn't it? I think they both did it. It's Austin Powers. But anyway, if you manage to do that, you explode. And the way it does that is if you take 2 hits against terrain within about a second of each other, your car blows up and gets put back on the track. So it's largely helpful because getting put back on the track is usually faster than getting out of whatever predicament you got into to make that happen. But you have a limited number of cars before you're forced to retire from the race.
Yeah.
And that's at the bottom down there.
You know what? Actually, watching... I felt very different while I was playing because holy frame rate when you're trying to go slow. But this actually runs very smooth on the Super Nintendo. This is a very impressive tech demo. Unplayable, but impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, I that's generally how I feel. It's really impressive they managed to do this on the SNES. They shouldn't have made this a game.
Yeah, honestly, like, this is... I think there are racing games on the N64 that don't look as good as this. And definitely, for sure, on the GBA, like, 100%. There are plenty of GBA games, or racing games, that look much, much, much worse than this. Shrek Car, I'm eyeing you right now. Okay, you are the worst.
This has roughly the same graphical fidelity as Off-Road 64, in my opinion.
I've never played that. But yeah, if they would have managed to make a control scheme that made sense and that worked, so that you weren't sliding all over the place and constantly exploding, then, I think they would have done a good job here.
We just saw Hopscotch explode in what looked like a very nice and gradual right-hand turn. And that just goes to show how bad the turning is. There's also a lot of wheelbase physics going on, where you'll start a turn, the wheel will be showing a hard right turn, but because you're coming over like a little bump or something, none of your wheels are actually on the ground, and you'll just go straight and crash into a wall.
By the way, the group that worked on this, Motive Time Limited, was definitely associated with Elite Systems. And that group, as chat has pointed out so ferociously, they made the Dragon's Lair games, including the password boss for the Super Nintendo Dragon's Lair, which is possibly one of the worst password systems I have seen in my life. It is very, very bad. They also made The Adventures of Dr. Franken, Virtuoso on DOS and 3DO. That sounds familiar, but I don't remember why. As well as Test Drive Off-Road for DOS and PlayStation, which I actually played a little bit back in the day.
We can see the computer on Hopscotch's screen having a problem because Hopscotch crashed. So the computer pulled out in front of Hopscotch and then immediately spun out with the rubber banding mechanic. What we're gonna need to prepare for, though, Hopscotch is doing a pretty good job with these normal tracks. After track 3, we enter into 2 special tracks. Number 4 is what they call a stunt track, which is another normal race, but there's a lot of jumps and bumps and things that will mess with your ability to handle the car and control. And then track 5 is what they call a puzzle track. That's what I had you try.
Yeah.
And puzzle is a bit of a misnomer. What it does is, you don't have a track. You have this viewing distance, which is to say a viewing distance of no, and you just have an open field with 5 checkpoints spewed around the field, and you have to find them and hit them before your opponent does.
Yep. And I think my opponent just got stuck or very confused because I was able to do a first try.
Yeah, that surprised me, honestly. I still have trouble with that, and I've been playing around with this for a while. Either you're really good at this, got lucky, or I'm really bad, and we're gonna find out when Hopscotch and hopefully also Kachiri get to the puzzle track.
I have played a lot of jank racing games, Tristan. It's not my favorite genre. I just tend to be, I think, a little bit better than most people. Like
it went in really hard on that rollerblading Road Rash clone for a while.
I also went really hard on Road Rash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopscotch is killing it. He's taken down track number 2. So now we get to take a peek at England 3.
Oh yeah, somebody was mentioning Skitchin. That's what it was.
Yeah, Skitchin.
That was
So this
hilarious.
is the last normal track before we get into England's weird stuff, and I'm excited to see how Hopscotch can handle those, but first we got to get past track 3.
Yeah. I do like this whole blessing and curse that we've got, giving save states so that it's easy for the players to hop into the level that they want. Evil because there's that desire to reload all the time, and it's really not worth it, at least for the first lap or two.
Yeah, Kuchiri has basically taken to reloading a save state anytime he spins out, which you're gonna spin out in this game. It's just gonna happen, especially if you're driving the car that he's... Oh no, it happened.
It flew up! That was beautiful!
Okay, I made Jank Science Theater play this, and someone managed to do that, and we couldn't replicate it.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, so we're 2 for 2 for having that happen in a showcase of this game.
Yes! Yes! I love it. Well, everybody, while there is some randomness with how the computer acts here, I really like the fact that when we have a winner's bracket, we can end up giving out games that have a little less consistency, and that is definitely the case with this game, is what I would say. This game is the opposite of. With that said, one thing that you want to keep in mind as a player is if there is something that is going to give you an advantage, is there a worse car that you can give the opponent? Because if so, then you may wish to give the opponent that car and have them just make tons of mistakes. You know, what can you do in order to make a game that feels very inconsistent be more consistent?
Right. And I'm honestly not sure how the computer opponent handles what car you give them. I made it a habit of giving them the race car because it seemed like it made them spin out more often, but I suspect it's more a matter of how well you're performing in the rubber banding.
Probably, yeah. Kuchiri getting a spin out and a frowny face at the top. That's okay. Frown, you silly little goofy face up there. Just frown away.
Kuchiri has taken to using this vehicle, and I really think that's the mistake that's being made here, is this thing controls like... It's awful.
Well, I haven't seen Kuchiri ever switch vehicles, so I hope that he realizes he can.
I did both say that you can choose your vehicle, and in the controls list I gave them, I told them what button to press to change it.
Yep, that was a little bit confusing. I tried to start the match, but accidentally switched vehicles while I was doing it. Like, the controls in the menu didn't make sense. They were
weird.
I
I didn't give you a control list because I was writing the control list when you agreed to test this out for me. So
yeah,
I gave you the game and said, all right, have fun.
I somewhat preferred that. I gotta be honest.
All right, so Hopscotch is on the stunt track. We get to see a little bit more off-roady shape stuff. I mean, it's all off-road, but Hopscotch has opted to give the race opponent the straight-out like Formula One race car on this track, which from a logical standpoint is a very good decision.
Vehicles, by the way, I think this is
that?
Kuchiri switched.
Ah, okay, good. Yeah, the stunt track is just going to be a lot of uneven terrain and jumps and stuff, and that doesn't seem like it would be a huge deal, but there is some degree of effort this game goes to simulate wheelbase physics, so it matters a lot.
That's kind of surprising as well as impressive, I'd say.
Oh no!
Whee! Okay, Kuchiri, keep going, okay? Like, even though the opponent is way ahead of you, they're spinning out. Like, I'm glad that rubber banding in this game is relatively kind compared to others. Otherwise, I don't think this would be a fun or possibly even a doable experience.
Yeah, when I handed this out, I've said it several times now, I typically pick the game I'm going to hand out before I even look at who's in the match. When I handed this out, Hopscotch seemed happy to be playing a racer, and Kuchiri flat out said he is not good at racing games, and I felt a little bad, but also that's kind of the luck of the draw in Kusog7ande.
Yep, you never know what genre you're going to get. Welcome to Kusog7ande.
Kuchiri reports this is impossible. I agree. I am a fan, though, of if you are, I think, within like half a second of your opponent, the win-loss indicator starts pogging instead of smiling. I got to put beautiful. If the indicator is pogging, ... in my race notes.
Yeah. I just love
it's
it.
Not often.
It's not. I've seen it pog plenty of times.
Yeah.
I do like that I can hear where the opponent is in speaker or in stereo, you know, while listening to this race. It's great. Sometimes I hear the tires in my left ear, and sometimes I hear them in my right. Oh, yeah, Hopscotch is getting a lot more jumps on this stage. I like it.
Yeah, this is the stunt track.
Yeah, and there we go. Kuchiri, I think, might beat stage 1 this time.
I'm hoping so.
After changing to the truck, this has been a huge performance boost.
Yeah, so I said I discovered this when Peebs played through it, and there was a similar degree of difficulty of finding a foothold there when he was experiencing it. And then he found the best strategy was pick the truck and use half gas everywhere.
There we go! Kuchiri is through stage 1, first time switching over to the truck. Yeah, I kind of agree that, like, using half gas is a good idea. Also, anytime you're playing a racing game, you know, especially if you're new to the genre and it doesn't have a dynamic throttle, you know, it is all just like a button push rather than analog. You probably want to go slower than your maximum. Do not just hold gas all the time, you know. Feel out it. If a turn is coming up, release the gas for a little while. Get a feel for how fast you turn. And because honestly, slowing down a little bit, maybe even using the brake a little bit, is a lot better than losing all of your speed because you ran into a tree and blew up.
Yeah. The lack of analog probably is what hurts this game the most. I had noted the steering wheel in the bottom right before, and that whole thing I was talking about of as you hold a direction to turn, some kind of invisible, like, direction vector rotates, and then your car kind of starts to gravitate toward it. You can tell what that vector is by the steering wheel, and you can see there's a moment of delay from when the wheel starts to turn and the vehicle itself begins to turn.
Mm-hmm.
So your controls are always, like, slightly laggy.
Yeah, well, it's important in any racing game to not think of where you want to be now, but instead where you want to be in about 1 to 2 seconds and steer with that in mind. If you think, like I always say, you know, think of as if you're getting pulled by a string, okay? If you really, like, if you do slight adjustments as you're moving forward to left and right, like you'll get little tiny movements in the direction that you want to go. Making a huge adjustment to the string pull is just going to make you spin. If suddenly it's going at a right angle, for example. Yeah.
Definitely spinning out and then, like, overcorrecting in the opposite direction and starting to go into a spin in the opposite direction is a thing that can just happen here.
And it's very easy to do with these controls.
So Hopscotch is on the puzzle track, and now we're in for some fun. Because the first thing, I didn't warn them at all about what the puzzle tracks are, by the way, so the first thing we're going to see here is Hopscotch is going to load in, and after this little starting area, there's going to be just completely open field.
Yeah, you can follow the arrows that are flashing on the screen, which is exactly what I did.
So that was 5. That's not the point that Hopscotch needs.
Yep, that's all right. Yeah, essentially it just has these... The checkpoints are basically dots on the map that you have to go and find. And
there's one.
The arrows aren't great at pointing you in the direction, but it's better than nothing.
They're very bad. There is a rhyme and reason to how they work. I cannot really figure out what it is, because when they kick in seems to be random, and they seem to indicate you need to turn even if you're like 10 degrees off. So you look at this arrow pointing off to the right side of the screen and you think, oh, I'm like 45 degrees off. No, Hopscotch may have just been 10 off.
Yeah. Like, you want to listen to them, but not, like, don't let them rule your life, you know? Live your life, and it's like listening a little bit to an arrow. A slight adjustment is like when it's a single arrow, a slight adjustment is probably the best thing to do. But if it's a double arrow, that's usually like you want to make a big adjustment. But yeah, right there. Hopscotch just got checkpoint number 3, and I would have said like a 10 degree change would have been probably too much. It was like a 5 degree adjustment in order to go the correct direction. Usually it's like which direction do you have to go technically to be on the optimal route to get somewhere?
This is the most terrifying moment too, where you're going all the way across the field and there's like no indicator, and you're just waiting for it to tell you that you're way off.
Yeah. Well, Kuchiri is still trying out a few of the different cars. I think that it's worth doing during the first half of the match, and then the second half, buckle down and get it. With that said, Hopscotch might actually lose this puzzle one. Yep, there we go. Game over.
So
yeah.
The reason why I asked a couple of GMs to try this out, and why specifically I asked you to play this track, when I initially created the save states for this, I put all 3 puzzle tracks at the very end out of concern that this is too unfair. And then you sat down and one-shot this, and I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Let's just put it in and see what happens.
Yeah, if anything, this may open up the door for Kuchiri to start catching up a little bit. And I feel like having some of those giant, difficult spikes can have some benefit, yeah. But that said, I probably just got really lucky, because I definitely took like more than a minute. Like I think it took about 3.5 minutes to beat this, and Hopscotch lost at 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the rubber banding at play a little bit. Hopscotch had a really solid start and then kind of just lost it between points 3 and 4, and the opponent just went, all right, I'm gonna win then, see ya.
Honestly, I think that this might be part of the metagame. If you suck a lot for the first minute or so and then start actually doing the race, you might win it every time.
It's entirely possible. I don't remember if I opted to mention the rubber banding or not. I think I had such a long instructions page for this, I decided to cut that out.
I think that's something that any racing game player should think about the first time they pick up a game, and like at least keep in mind that sucking at the beginning doesn't mean that you're out of it. Just keep in mind, you know, they had to make this at least somewhat playable in order to get the seal of quality. It doesn't have to be the best game in the world. Heck, it can be Dirt Racer for all I care, but like there's at least a level of playability for this game.
Yeah, the game has to be finishable on some level. And I've definitely seen someone finish it. And like I said, that was through running the truck and using half accelerate the whole time.
Yeah, full accelerate.
Oh, what? So, okay, Hopscotch just missed that checkpoint, taking the exact same racing line the AI opponent took.
Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
Okay, not too surprising. I'd worry that Hopscotch may be tempted to reload the state, but shouldn't. Hopscotch
I think they get it.
Like, I haven't seen Hopscotch loading the state too many times, which I think is good.
But there goes the opponent going in question mark direction.
Kuchiri exploding. You do have a limited number of vehicles. If you explode too much, that could be a problem. I wonder if your opponent also has a limited number of vehicles, because if so, it might actually be better to just like run into them a whole bunch and then finish a race.
I have never seen the opponent be forced to retire, so I think no, that's not something you can do. So the official mode, like the actual gameplay mode that isn't me creating a save state for every race like this, is a point-based tournament where you do a bunch of 1v1 races and you get points, and if you have the most points at the end of the season, you win. And the way it decides how many points you get is by how much of a lead you have when you finish, which makes absolutely no sense because the game engages in egregious rubber banding.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't like that.
Yeah, like it was just unscorable on multiple levels without doing it this way.
Yeah, I can understand why you sort of delayed for a couple years. for a couple years. I love it. Why you delayed for a couple years giving this game
It was
out?
Kuso5. I showed up and said, hey, can someone help me figure out how to score this? And I think 4 GMs worked on it. And we're just like, we have no idea. Like, and I finally said, heck it, I'm just going to make save states for every track.
I'm glad. Like, this is still really a marvel, and I'd say, like, an impressive feat for a company to do on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I want to point out
Yeah, go ahead.
where Hopscotch has gotten put back after exploding. They've been put back here like 3 times. It's on a hill where you have to back up and get momentum, because if you just try to hit the gas, you'll spin your tires forever.
Yeah, I tried to back up, and I wasn't able to figure that out. Which is fantastic, because you have to hold select. Yeah, from what I can see, though, the person who did the music for this also did music for, I believe, the various Lemmings games. Do I see Lemmings DOS? It was Tony Williams. I see Lemmings on the links. Lemmings DOS, yep. Judge Dredd on Commodore 64, Smash TV. We've got, like, holy crap, this person is a legend. Chucky Egg for DOS, that's a game.
It looks like we got a comment out of Hopscotch.
Uh-oh, what does Hopscotch say? This level is so miserable. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew the puzzle tracks were going to be a crucible.
But look at this. Hopscotch has got it. Yes, 4 minutes and 13 seconds into it. That is the puzzle track.
Yeah, that was... The rubber banding went really weird there. I don't know. So we move on to the Australia tracks, which are basically exactly the same as the England tracks. Just more and more sand.
Ooh, yellow.
Yeah.
See, that's the logical progression. After you get normal levels, you have to move on to sand levels. That's exactly how I'm doing my video game development, Tristan. My second set of levels, the main floor tile is sand.
Act 2 is always a desert in every game.
It's required, although I was sort of thinking it more like a deserted island for what I'm doing. But yeah, deserts are cool. I grew up living in a desert. Where I lived, it was boring and ugly. I personally think that there are some deserts that look really cool, but not where I lived, where it was like, guess what? You have a whole bunch of sagebrush and all of the mountains look like cookie dough mountains. Which I guess, like, is an aesthetic, but no, where Hopscotch is, this looks like southern Utah, aka Australia. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Are there giant arches like that in Australia?
I don't think so. Maybe.
That
I don't know.
definitely looks like Utah.
I want to say Kuchiri, in spite of the fact that he's not getting through the tracks as smoothly as Hopscotch has been, has gained some level of mastery of driving this incredibly slippery fast car.
Yeah, it's, you know, everybody struggles with different things, and honestly, this car would not work for me. But if you're able to, like, you don't have to play the best way as long as you're playing the best way for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the world record, you just have to outrun the opponent.
Yep. Someone's asking if I live on the Donut Plains. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Yeah, it's sort of... The area that I grew up in was eastern Utah, and so if you look up, like, deserts in sort of middle eastern Utah, it's not northeast, it's not southeast, it's in, like, you know how Utah is weird shaped? It's like you take a box and then you cut out a corner of the box, or like a square, and you cut out a corner of the square. And you can like think of the top part as a person's head sticking up and then sort of their shoulder going out to the left and then the arm dripping down. We would have been essentially located in what I call the armpit of Utah. If you think of Utah shaped like a person, we were right in the armpit. And I think that for a lot of people, it's kind of a fascinating looking area, but because I grew up there, I kind of hate it.
So, Kachiri is on the stunt track. He has started to find a method that's working for him. He's making some progress. If he is able to get to and through the puzzle track without, or with less difficulty than hopscotch, this could still be a race. I will have to double check that he actually did track 3 because I looked away for a moment. But I'm pretty sure he did.
Actually, one other comparison that I'm going to make. I'm sorry, I should be talking about the race a little bit more. But people are like, Utah's not shaped like a human. Okay, if you ever played American Truck Simulator and got the Utah DLC, Vernal is one of the places you can go. I grew up there. All the desert around there looks completely accurate, and I think it's kind of hideous. I don't like it. But with that said, I think Flannel Cat has played that and probably has visited my hometown where I grew up. That's my guess. But with that said, we're not doing American Truck Simulator. We are doing Dirt Racer, which, oh geez, this doesn't simulate real life at all.
No.
I love
that is how explosions actually work in real life, though.
I mean, maybe if you put some dynamite under your hood, sure, that's how it works in real life.
This can't be what driving is like. We haven't almost gotten hit by a train.
People are looking up where I grew up. Yeah, and mentioned that there's a giant pink dinosaur in town. That is correct. There is a giant pink dinosaur in my hometown. It's named Dinah. It's the pink dinosaur. She's pretty cool. Yeah, I know. It's a great name. Dinah the Dino.
Chiri is saying that he feels like he's in second place, and yes, but I don't think we reveal that anymore. There is still a chance, though. Kachiri is getting a lock on, like I said, how to drive the faster cars, and that might be beneficial later on because the faster cars are also shorter and won't just turn over as easily.
Yeah, like I've seen Hopscotch doing plenty of rolls. I still feel like I would go with the truck that Hopscotch is doing. Like, personally, I like the idea of having the short car that doesn't roll over too much. But at the same time, when I was playing this, I didn't even realize you had limited lives. Like, I mean, that is something that the players will probably have to be concerned about at one point, maybe. But I feel like they're losing the races faster than they're dying.
Yes, I feel that way as well. Like, what did Kachiri just do?
Explode! It's explode time!
That physical interaction with, like, the fence and the trees made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Kuchiri is noting in Discord that he feels behind, and I'm going to go ahead and say welcome to everybody who plays this game. Like, there is getting stuck in the trees and pinballing to your death. That's what I love about racing, you know? Yeah, there's no way to... Like, you know a game is bad when you feel behind, but you're really not that far behind. And I feel like anybody in a match with this game would probably feel like they're losing because it's brutal. So an important thing to remember is that if you feel like you're losing, guess what? Your opponent probably feels exactly the same. Kachiri, unfortunately, almost out of cars. This is going to be the first
Yep.
time we see this. Very nice.
Entirely possible. Yeah, Kochiri is not that far behind. Kochiri is on England's stunt, and Hopscotch is on Australia too. So there's only 3 tracks dividing them, which sounds like a lot, but these are 2 3-minute races. There is still a potential here.
Oh no, I'm looking at the main programmer for this game. And the game that they worked on before, they didn't program for that, but they worked on the game right before this, was Balls 3D, fighting at its ballsiest. And then they also, before that, tested Bubsy 2.
Good.
Yeah, those are... Holy crap. Holy guacamole. Like, yeah, let's just say that moving from testing those to programming this, that's a pretty big jump. But at the same time, like, I would say I like this more than Balls 3D.
Would you...
I'd rather play this.
So from a technical standpoint, the graphics in this are great for the Super Nintendo. It runs pretty well. The
Yes.
frame rate is a little chunky. The fact that it's simulating wheelbase physics on the Super Nintendo is amazing. It's just not fun to play. And is that the fault of the programmers, or who dropped the ball here?
I'm not really sure. I mean, this was late Super Nintendo. This isn't based off of any specific IP, so I don't imagine they were like trying to meet a movie being released. However, considering that this came out in 1995, which was a little bit later for the Super Nintendo life cycle, they might like. I also don't feel like this was completely rushed either. It's just somebody had to have made a decision, and it probably would have been a management level decision. And they're like, we have all of these realistic physics here, but we have to have a way to better emulate, the way that you can accelerate fast or slow in order to match the physics. I would guess, and I almost always blame management, I would guess it was a management decision for trying to get different types of acceleration into a game that didn't need them.
Yeah, and overall, you have individual developers and you have testers, and they all kind of do their job where they implement a thing and they test a thing, and the testers then send feedback back to the developers. And overall, the project manager is supposed to be lording over this process and making sure the amalgamate product does what it's supposed to do in a very general sense. And I feel for a video game, the project manager should constantly be asking the question of, forget individual bug tickets and, objectives to meet and KPIs and whatnot. Is this a fun game? And I feel like some project manager somewhere in here should have said no.
Yeah, but do you know how often companies actually let their project managers manage their projects? There are a lot of times that somebody higher up is like, no, we have to do it this way, and I don't understand anything, but I don't like the way that you're doing it.
I mean, I've never seen a project manager do anything useful ever, but I work in ops. I'm required to have that outlook. I
have been a project manager before, and let me tell you, cleaning up after another project manager was like the worst. That is what led me to quitting the job, because I got to work specifically with projects in California, and let me tell you, the terrible stress that I had to deal with. Like,
there's a reason I moved out of California, and part of it was my options for employment there were all that.
I'm actually really glad that there were a lot more hoops to jump through with California, because it's a little bit scary how many of the regulations were being broken before I started working there. And I was like, no, we need to fix this. and then seeing how incorrect like various meters were that didn't get the thorough inspection that California does. Yeah, let me tell you, water and electric meters can definitely be a little bit questionable. I'm sorry, Justin's yelling at me for talking about that job. I'm sorry. We started talking about how terrible California is, but honestly, like, it was mostly the guy who had the job before I did, who ruined my life. So thank you, dude. You did a really, really terrible job.
Cherry seems to be now struggling on the latter half of England, which is where I expected the struggling to be. So
yeah, that sounds about right.
I always say when someone does exceedingly well, I say they did exceedingly well, and the other racer is performing about how I expected, and that's the case here again. What we're seeing from Kachiri is what I expected both of them to end up dealing with, and somehow Hopscotch just took to this game's janky everything really well.
Let me go ahead and reload both of the streams so that, because we are, like, Kuchiri's stream, like, oh, there we go. That looks a lot better. It was the fuzziest screen of all for a little while there.
Yeah, that wasn't Brocinchia's stream. That was the racers.
Yeah, don't blame me this time. Gosh. Kuchiri, what are you doing? Typing in Discord? Yep.
I mean...
Kuchiri's like, if I'm more than 2 stages behind, I don't mind being mercy killed now. I'm not doing it.
I was about to...
And Hopscotch says, there is no escape for you. You must keep driving till the end. Smiley face, smiley face. It's the double smiley face, okay? You can't just have one.
Yeah, I don't know how I want to... Someone's saying if I'm this far behind, I just want to, like, forfeit. And, like, well, you are, but also you can still catch up. Like, Hopscotch has been stuck for a while. This track has gotten rude.
Yeah, I just said, I'm not telling either of you where you are. If they want to discuss that themselves in Discord, then let them go ahead. And apparently Kuchiri is saying this is the least fun I've had in Kuso. You've done your job, Tristan. You found a bad
Yeah, I was afraid
game.
of that. I figured that was going to happen.
You know what? I think I would actually kind of enjoy playing this. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I played it yesterday or the day before. I played it recently. Wait a second. I was getting ready for Grudge Match yesterday, and then you're like, hey, anybody want to play a game? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I played it, and I was like, this is great. This is fun. It's not good, but it's fun.
That's how I feel. Like, I don't even know if fun is the right thing. I appreciate what the game tried to do, and there was just some kind of, like, synthesis of ideas that failed here.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say that, like, everybody is going to have some sort of kryptonite when it comes to Kusog7ande. You know, there are some players who are very well rounded in a wide variety of games, but occasionally you just get that specific genre that does not work well for you. And really, don't feel bad if, like, you end up flopping a little bit on one of those. That's how it goes, you know? Instead, you know, giving it a shot and just at least trying your best. That's what matters. What is Kuchiri's car doing? That is not at all how cars should be acting.
Perfectly normal physics. Okay, so Hopscotch is on to Australia's stunt.
And the thing, like, for how generic everything on this looks, and everything is like, this is the generic racing game. There are 3 vehicles. There are 3 freaking vehicles. And yet still. Yeah, this review that I'm seeing here, they gave it 21 out of 100. specifically from game masters. They're like, a crowd gathers around the SNES. A new FX game is in the office and everyone wants a piece of the action. Hold all calls and tell the sandwich man not to bother us. Do you have a sandwich man? I want a sandwich man.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. After a few goes, the crowd starts to fall away. Pretty soon, there's no one left. Not since Rise of the Robots have we heard comments like, overhyped pile of crap, and I can't believe it's that bad. What the hell went wrong? And ha 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 ha. After a long wait, Racer FX is here, and yes, it's rubbish. The FX chip's here for all the technical complexities. I didn't see the hyphen there. What could be so complex about a series of different colored squares making up the landscape? Those are called polygons, okay?
Okay, I have things to say about that when you're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say, shut up, reviewer. Come on, guys, we've seen better than this with no FX chip. If I really wanted to spend hours careering around out of control and hitting everything, I wouldn't need to spend 50 quid to do it. Spinning around and round in my chair until I got dizzy and then trying to walk home would do it. It's a lot cheaper. It gets worse every time I play it. It's completely uncontrollable, and after a while, you start to wonder whether something's been left out. It does say weather twice in a row. Like game, oh my gosh, whether something's been left out like gameplay. Now that's insulting, but true. It's diabolically bad now. The split screen 2-player mode is a joke. You don't know what the hell is going on, and it's easier to destroy your car than try to get yourself facing the right direction when you make a mistake. Dirt Racer FX is a cheap and tacky copy of Stunt Race FX that doesn't deserve to lick its boots, let alone stand on a pedestal with it as an FX game. I've seen some crap in my time, but this really takes the biscuit. Want my vote for the worst SNES game? This is it. A pathetic pile of rubbish.
Okay, so that was an excessively inflammatory article, and also it sounds like someone played that for about 4 seconds, blew up twice, and decided to whine about it in a GameFAQs review that got published in a magazine somehow. Whoever wrote that should be ashamed of themselves, because they also have no idea how like 3D physics and vertex-based graphics work at all.
Yeah, well, this person is named Les Ellis, and I don't know how you get a name that sounds like you just said it 3 times with only having 3 syllables, but Les Ellis, that's what it, yeah.
Okay, so take that, reviewer from 25 years ago. I hope you feel sufficiently burned.
Yeah, congrats, person who directed California Games X in 2008. Fan-freaking-tastic. How about being the assistant producer of Gauntlet Dark Legacy on Game Boy Advance, huh?
Oh,
you
no.
feel proud about that? You're gonna come and critique this when
you have nothing to stand
with Gauntlet Dark Legacy? No. I'm gonna say I would rather play this than Gauntlet Dark Legacy for the Game Boy Advance, okay? This is better.
Savage. I love it.
But true. Oh, they did Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring for Game Boy Advance 2002. Not like that hasn't been
that
on
game
Big Bad
doesn't
Game
work.
Yeah, you literally cannot break it without using a bug.
Yeah, you can't finish that game.
Yeah, you have to break the game to finish it.
This man has no right reviewing stuff. Anyway.
I don't like car go fast. I like car go slow. I like stop at stop sign. My name is Les Ellis.
Okay, so Hopscotch is currently having a little bit of trouble with Australia's stunt. I think Kachiri is still on England's stunt. That seems to be the kryptonite here, is the stunt tracks. Yeah, England stunt. I was expecting it to be the puzzle courses, personally, but you know what? Everyone getting stuck on stunt tracks is fine by me too. Oh no. Hopscotch went to space.
Well, that's a good place. I want to go. My name is Les Ellis. I like to keep my left foot on the clutch because I like to ruin my transmission.
I think my favorite term that someone told me for that kind of activity is driving golf carts around in first gear until they explode.
Oh, fun. To be fair, like, I almost feel like this game would be more playable if you could, like, use the clutch. As far as I'm aware, though, it's all automatic.
It is all automatic, yes.
Yeah, and I think that's to its detriment. Like, if you could just go into third gear and stay in third gear, that was, like, the slowest rollover I've ever seen on Kuchiri's screen. That was
Kuchiri
beautiful.
just very slowly did a roll in midair, flew over the AI opponent who was driving in the opposite direction and exploded in midair. I have no idea what just happened.
Chat, thank you for mentioning that stunts are required. I feel like playing the game is a stunt. What the crap? Kuchiri, the guy was in... It was blocking you. It says danger. I didn't expect danger from the AI. Well...
The game seems to have just decided to clown Kuchiri for the heck of it. I don't know what the heck happened there.
Yeah, Kuchiri blew up a bunch.
I think Kuchiri's tapping out.
No, Kuchiri just said I dislike racing games. That's fair. I don't think you can judge an entire genre based off of this game, but maybe. So wait. You said the reviewer didn't know how an FX chip works. Now talk to me a little bit about that. What do you mean?
Well, in general, the reviewer said that this is just a bunch of colored squares on the ground, and and that shouldn't require that much processing power to draw, which is incredibly incorrect because this isn't sprite based, it's vertex based, which is a completely different technology than what he's talking about. And by the way, something I never mentioned, each one of these differently colored tiles represents a different kind of terrain, and they all have slightly different tire physics.
Yeah.
Like, this is a extremely robust and deep for a Super Nintendo racing game. Especially one drawn in 3D with the Super FX chip to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking, like, he compared it to Stunt Race FX, which I haven't played at all. I might have to go give it a shot because supposedly it does use some of the same, at least the same chip. But
if you're going to compare this game to something, comparing it to Stunt Race FX is probably the most valid comparison. There's a lot of the same rendering technology being used here.
yeah, in that case, that might be an apt comparison. However, that was developed by Nintendo, and I heard they have what's called a budget. Whereas Dirt Racer was developed by this little this company that y'all know and love called Motive Time Limited, and published by Elite Systems Limited. And
okay,
I'm
Hopscotch
guessing
has hung it.
maybe they didn't have as much of a budget.
Hopscotch has hung it up, claiming that he does not have time to reach the next track, and I'm inclined to agree.
I don't think they do, and that's fine. Like, I think at this point that would be fine.
Yep, and Kuchiri has said that this is his last attempt. Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like having both of them tap out is probably apt, and be like, I'm not gonna go ahead and try to push until the end of the time. There's not enough time to beat another track, so I'm done. But
yeah.
Kuchiri, you could beat this one, maybe.
I've been watching Kuchiri for a while, and especially through this stunt track with the uneven ground, I'm baffled at some of the situations he's been able to hold on to car control. He did a series of bumps through a bunch of like mogul style hills where it's like the hill tries to bump you one direction and then the next hill is on the other side, so it immediately bumps you the other direction.
Yeah.
Back and forth like that. And he just went straight through at full throttle and somehow maintained control until he hit flat terrain and then spun out. It was the most exciting thing with the most disappointing ending. And I think the main thing here is that Kuchiri has focused too much on speed and Hopscotch has taken a slower vehicle and took it slower. And if Kachiri had kind of gone a little bit slower, I think he has a better grasp of how to keep the car on the road than Hopscotch does.
Yeah.
He just tried to go too fast.
By the way, I'm looking, and you talked about like the complex physics in this game, how they tried to do tire-based physics. Just from what I can see, Stunt Race FX didn't really do that.
No.
However,
Stunt
it was
Race
a wildly
is-
popular game in the UK still.
Yeah, Stunt Race tried to do basically Mario Kart with the Super FX chip.
Gotcha. And you know, that's fine. Everyone needs Mario Kart with an FX chip. That's cool.
All right, that's it for Kachiri. I think we are safe to call time here.
That's time, everybody. Throw your hands up in the air. Oh my gosh. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is one of the few games that use that as well. That's pretty dang awesome. Well, let me go ahead and put on some music so that y'all can party with us, because this is it. We are done. That was the last match of the weekend. Let's go ahead and welcome the players in to come and chat. Join general voice if you want. Cool. Let's see if they want to.
Oh no, I've never done that to a racer before.
What did you do? Call it, and then Crappy just comes in and yells at them. That's life.
No, getting someone to make that particular comment about a game I gave out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've had some mild swearing in Discord. That's it. Hello there, Hopscotch.
Hiya.
Oh my.
Fun game.
A fun game. Okay, I'm ready to hear Kuchiri's take if Kuchiri wants to join. I think Kuchiri's too angry at this game, though. Ugh. And I can't really blame him. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like Kachiri won't be joining.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Honestly, go and do something else that's better with your time. Like, there is no shame, I think, in losing to a genre that you hate. And that's precisely what happened here. Kuchiri just could not get the hang of this. And to be fair, this is not a good game. Hopscotch.
I would go so far as to say this isn't really a racing game, because you have to play it completely differently from how you'd play an actual racing game.
Explain
Yes.
that to me. What do you mean?
I feel like I don't think I'm very good at racing games. I spin out a lot, I run into walls, and this game is about recovering from spinning out.
It's all about recovering from spinning out. Oh no.
That and AI manipulation. My strategy was, I watched the demo play for a long time, and I took a look at how each of the cars drove during that,
Yeah.
and I noticed that it crashed way more if I put the AI on the fastest vehicle.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm gonna give them the fastest car, and I'll take the slowest car, and then it'll be easier.
I think that may have been a good move. Kuchiri didn't actually change the AI's car at all. And I think that I think it was in the notes, but honestly, there's just so much going on in this game that that's something that could be difficult. Uh-oh, Kuchiri's gonna yell at us. Okay. Kuchiri, Are you gonna yell at us?
Yes! Well, yo, you guys, I am so mad right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Kuchiri, talk to me. I feel like you need to unload, okay? Because I know you are so mad at this game. Again, I'm saying there is no shame losing in a genre that you really don't like anyway. So, and you happen to get like possibly one of the worst games in a genre that you hate.
If I knew I could change cars, I would swap it to the fastest car no matter what.
Remember to read the paste bin.
Oh no! Let's see.
It's at the very top. I was more looking at the freaking controls. Oh man, I just want to forfeit the whole thing. Oh.
No, don't worry about it. You know what? We have had.
Oh.
I tested this out a little bit yesterday, and I think I just accidentally changed the computer over to a different car, and I was like, I don't know if that's going to be something that's allowed or not. But okay.
No, if I knew that, I would have set them all to the fastest car, and I would have, just half accelerated through every race, and I probably could have beaten this whole thing in an hour.
You know what? That's precisely what one of Tristan found this because of Peebs doing the all Super Nintendo challenge, and that's what Peebs did. So you're complete, like, you've learned what's required to get through this game, Kuchiri. So I would go ahead and say, like, it's not a fault on that end. Perhaps one little thing was missed in the instructions, but otherwise, like, you learned exactly the way that you're supposed to learn in Kusog7ande. Like, you put the pieces of the puzzle together there. And so I would say that if there is one game that you should feel okay losing to, it should be a game in a genre that you hate.
I mean, this has been a really good Kusog7ande so far for me, and this game, I mean, God.
You finally got a bad game. I see. No, I've had plenty of people complain to me, you only give good games. Why don't I ever get any bad games?
The thing that makes me mad the most is I'm going to go to Losers 2 and I have to play another European game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sick and tired of European games.
Okay, I don't know how much we tell this outside of GM chat, but I've had a couple rage quits from Kusog7ande, and one of them was because of Smurfs for Super Nintendo, and they specifically swore a whole bunch about how I never need to give them any more European games, and then they left the server, and I was like, well, that was a little extreme there.
So all four of my group stage games was the European game.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you go... Frankie Goes to Hollywood, you got Skate of the Art, that's beautiful. E.T. for Game Boy Color, that was... I love that one, though, okay? And then Bobby Blockhead.
And then I got Japanese... One of the worst Japanese platformers, against Willard.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Hana no Star Kaido. Kuchiri, still you won that one. Great job there.
Well, after a big debate on whether or not it was going to be a rematch or not.
Yeah, we had to review because we had because it was Hana no Star Kaido.
Anyway, let's get like 12 viewers right now play a round of Blood on the Clock Tower. I need to. You need to get the frustration out. I'll be the storyteller. I'll just make the worst script possible.
How about this? I think I could. You want to commit to a time and a day?
Yeah, no, and like we just need like 8 to like 15 volunteers.
How about 8 to 15? Yeah, it's a game that you have to have a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you're down for this Thursday, I will commit to this Thursday. Huh?
Awesome.
Okay.
Basically, it's like if you like Among Us or D&D, it's kind of like the perfect mix of both. What Blood the Clock Tower is.
Yeah, and it's also one of the mystery role games that you don't have to, like, even if you get killed, you can still participate a lot.
Oh yeah.
Thank goodness.
I mean, everyone's dead. Like everyone who's dead. Like spoiler alert. If it ever gets to the perfect scenario of a final 3. It's the dead people who either win or lose the game.
Oftentimes, it is the dead people who...
Because it's all the ghost votes. Anyway, yeah, sorry. Oh my...
Yeah, with that said, Kuchiri, I'm glad that we could make you feel absolute loathing. I feel like Hopscotch didn't feel as much loathing, but still didn't like this. Is that accurate, Hopscotch?
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
No, every second this game, like... I mean, of course, I like the Mario Karts. I like the Need for Speed on the grounds,
yeah.
But like, here, no, like Forza, no. I don't like racing games, and it's like, one of the first things that was asked to me by Tristan, I have a hard time pronouncing his name, sorry, was like, does anyone have any vetoes? I'm like, I don't have any good vetoes. I don't like racing game. Can that be a veto?
Yeah,
not liking the genre doesn't count, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you come to one of these tournaments, you got to expect to play games that you're not gonna like.
Well, what's this? I did 7 games last year. This is my 6th game this year. Very first time it's a racer.
Yeah, it is not a very common genre in Kusog7ande, but I also really like when we have the uncommon genre show up, because we get reactions like this. Kuchiri, I love it.
Oh, I'm gonna be mad for a bit.
Well, you know what? I honestly think that you did pretty fine, and probably more as expected, because this game is an absolute bud. Hopscotch figured out a lot of the metagame.
Quick question. I finally beat stage 1 at about 20 minutes. Hop, how far was you at 20 minutes?
I was definitely on stage 2. I'm not sure if I beat it by then.
Oh.
Yeah,
I was gonna be like, if you were on stage... if you were on stage 3, just mercy kill me. Did you tell them that I was begging for mercy kills?
Yeah, we did. We told them. Oh my gosh. And you know what? It's fine to be a little bit salty about this. I always feel a little bad when people didn't love their games, but at the same time, it's the bad video game tournament.
I was getting worse and worse. Like I had one good run like 15 minutes ago on the 4th stage where, again, I made it to 97% complete. And then it was like, at that point on, every move I made, I exploded. For like 15 minutes straight, I was just exploding.
We saw you doing like the slowest roll ever as you were exploding, and I'm like, what is happening to Kuchiri? This is beautiful.
Then I had one other good run. I exploded, but I spawned on a hill. And so it wouldn't let me accelerate either direction.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
This is a bad game. Wow.
Like, that's when I said...
I had that happen once. I had to, like, hard turn. And then it slowly inched until it turned around enough that I could drive in the crevice.
Like, I was literally perfectly on the hill to where none of my tires was getting traction.
By the way, I think there is one other meta game that could be helpful in this. And this is something that... Like, because I played this game, Tristan had me play one of the puzzle levels, and I played this yesterday, and I beat it first try, and so we were talking, and because Tristan was like, I think this level's too fat, or too bad, and I think the only reason I won was because during the first minute, I couldn't even figure out how to control the car because I didn't have any controls. And the rubber banding is definitely, if you're doing terrible, the computer starts doing super terrible. And I think the computer ended up getting stuck.
I noticed.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the rubber banding before, well, we all got sidetracked. But I think also if you're doing really well, the rubber banding on the back end doesn't just speed the car up. Because, I mean, it does, but beyond a certain point, it just teleports. Because there's no way it made all of those turns.
I kept on resaying for the first 10 minutes because I thought this would be like any other like Mario Kart or any other racing game 1v1 where if you don't get that lead, you're not getting that lead, right? So I kept on resaying, and then I had that one run like 10 minutes in where I was like, okay, well let's just look at the stage so I know what I have to deal with, right? And then all of a sudden I get past a checkpoint and I see my smiley face. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that I had passed the computer personally, but like I got to a point where I'm just all smiles and I'm like, I guess the game's happy with me, and then I beat it and I'm like, okay. Kuchiri, I think that the resetting in most situations probably would have been the right call, but for this game, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, I lost. Well, I mean, ultimately, I was, 5 stages behind, so it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. But, no. And I mean, at the end of it, this is my second Q, so I made it to, I lost in Losers 2 last year, so I mean, if I lose in Losers...
Yeah, let me go ahead and see just to make sure. It is Losers 2 that you're going to. So I would say you're at least doing as well as you did last year, possibly even better.
No. Well, technically better because I won Winners 1. But if I lose the next time, it doesn't matter because it'd be the same rank. It'd be the same top 24.
Yeah. And honestly, like, feel good about it. I know that, like, after playing Dirt Racer, that might not be the easiest thing to do. But seriously, I'm really glad that you hopped here in voice so that we could hear some of your thoughts and so that you could release a little bit of that
I just
steam.
wanted to scream in anger that I feel like if I could have changed the other car. I mean,
yeah,
no, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think logically all the time. I probably still would have only made it to like stage 7 or 8. I still would have lost to Hopscotch. Like,
Hopscotch is a really good player, and honestly, Hopscotch is one of those people who I look at and I think there's a very good chance that they could get into the finals or the grand finals. Like, seriously, it's I still think that I'm really glad that you kept going through the entire match, no matter how much you hated, and that's really...
No, I was begging for you to mercy kill me. I was begging.
Well, but you still kept playing. You didn't just stop. I didn't say you could stop, but, like, there's a difference between me telling you, like, technically nobody's forced to.
Anyway.
Seriously, thank you so much. And Hopscotch, congratulations for the victory. Yeah, Kuchiri, you're still in the tournament, so don't feel down and out quite yet because you still have a lot of fighting that can be done.
I have a chance of going against Tempstroll. I have a chance of going against Tempstroll.
Yeah. If you beat the Eurovision round, by the way, you move on to the debatably bad round, which is going to be possibly bad games, but not necessarily bad. Essentially games that are up for debate whether or not they're bad. And so I'm really excited for that round. I have a lot of games in my mind that fit right into that. Well,
anyway,
yeah.
I mean, as long as we get like 12 volunteers for a Blood Clock Tower, I can run one online. I can have Bro be a co-storyteller. That'd be a fun stream.
Oh, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I can go ahead and commit for Thursday as a part of my penance for making you play Dirt Racer.
Well, should we start a thread on your Discord to see if we get volunteers?
Yeah, we could do that. For now, let me go ahead and say thank you, everybody, for coming and watching. We will be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, for more Kusog7ande. We've got 4 matches tomorrow, so holy guacamole, it's a busy weekend. I appreciate everybody who followed, subscribed, and who's supporting the channel because you all help make this possible, as well, like both the successes as well as the tears, and that's what I like to hear. With that said, who should we raid? I see
Willard. If Willard the
is Willard streaming right now?
Yeah.
Willard, how do you spell? Oh my gosh, because
Willard J. Bradley.
How do you spell Willard? Is it 1 L or 2?
2 L.
Okay, Willard J. Bradley. Let me go and see. What is Willard playing right now?
There's some randomizer.
Lunk Past Man? Oh, and he Animal. Lunk Past Man. Let's go do that.
He's doing an April Fool's Seed.
Uh-oh.
So there's like some funny stuff going on. I'm sure the GBA link is going to be a part of it.
Oh, probably. Okay, so...
Yeah. It's fun stuff.
I'm just going to say Lunk Past Man, unless there's a really good quote from earlier, but I don't think there is. Let's just go raid with Lunk Past Man.
Yeah, Dirt Racer didn't have any text, really, so... Unless people want to do, like, smiley faces, but that doesn't make any sense.
Alright.
Oh, it
Thanks,
makes all
all.
the sense needed. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Have fun, friends. And I'll be back tomorrow with more. Take care. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, whatever.
Bye.
Bye.